So I have a wonderful book, Leaders Don't Command by Jorge Cuervo, right? Inspire growth, ingenuity, and collaboration. So here are the core message, that true leadership is not about issuing orders, it's about inspiring growth, fostering empathy, and cultivating, collaboration through emotional intelligence and services. So key principles, of transformational leadership, right? So the principle is what? Inspire, don't command. Insight is what? Influence through purpose and emotional connections, never through, fear or authority. Principle is what? Emotional intelligence. The insight is what? Lead with self-awareness, empathy, and calmness to build authentic relationship. Serve the team, create space where team members feel heard, safe to grow and free to innovate. Empowerment is greater than, micromanagement. Delegate, responsibility, trust build, creativity and confidence, right? So collaboration builds trust. Lead with transparency and fairness, integrity earns respect more than status, right? Here communicate with impact, communicate with impact, right? So listen deeply, speak clarity, ask meaningful questions, dialogue over directives. Cultivate growth here, nurture talent, give constructive feedbacks and invest in learning over mere performance. Leadership is a journey. Practice humility, reflection and curiosity. Become better with every step. Authority is not equals to leadership, right? So leadership is earned through values, actions and emotional, resonance, not positions. So the memorable quote is what here? That leadership is not about commanding, it's about connecting, right? When people feel respected and included, they give their best. A good leader doesn't have followers, right? They create other leaders. Style and tone is what here? That Cuervo's voice is warmth at insightful, challenging rigid herikais with a compassionate lens. This book is ideal for modern servant leaders, educators and change makers who wants to foster meaningful impacts, not compliance. So the next question is what? That how does Cuervo's leadership model differ from traditional leadership styles, right? So here the point is that Jorge Cuervo's leadership model stands in stark contrast to traditional leadership styles by shifting the focus from authority and control to inspire and emotional connection. So here's the breakdown of the key differences. That traditional leadership is top down, command driven and hierarchical, right? So authority based here leadership, leaders issues orders and expected compliance. Task oriented is what focuses on efficiency, structure and goal completions, right? Limited emotional engagement is what decisions are often made without considering team dynamics or emotional impact. Micromanagement is what here? That leaders closely monitor and control every aspects of work. Rigid hierarchy is what that clear separation between leader and followers. So here Cuervo's modern leadership is what? Empathetic, empowering and collaboration. Inspiration over instruction, right? Leaders influence through purpose, examples, and obviously emotional resonance, right? People oriented here prioritizes team growth, right? Obviously emotional intelligence and here psychological safety, right? So here service driven is what here? That leaders serve the team by creating environments for innovation and trust. Empowerment focus is what here? That encourages autonomy, creativity and ownership. Flat structure is what here? Promotes shared leadership and mutual respect. Right here the summary table is what here? That decision making here centralized top down, collaborating and influence. Power dynamic is what? Authority driven, influence through empathy and purpose. Team engagement is what? Compliance focused, growth and emotional connection, right? Here innovation is what? Risk averse, encourages experimentation, right? Communication style is what here? Directive, thought provoking and empathetic. Leadership identity is what position based, value and action based, right? So here Cuervo's model is, especially relevant in today's fast evolving, emotional intelligence workplace, where connection, trust and shared purpose, drive performance more than hierarchy over code, right? So how can I apply, Cuervo's leadership model in my workplace? So here applying Jorge Cuervo's leadership, model in the workplace means shifting from control to connection, from authority to authentic influence, right? So here is how you can bring his principle to life in a practical, emotionally intelligence way, right? So 9 ways to apply Cuervo's leadership model at work, right? So here, lead with purpose, not power. Share your visions and values openly, inspire your team, encourage your team by connecting their work to meaningful mission, right? Replace commands with stories, metaphors, and obviously here, emotional resonance. Next point is what? Practical emotional intelligence daily, right? Start meeting with check-ins to understand how your team feels, right? Respond to tension with empathy, not defensiveness, right? Reflect on your own emotional triggers and regulate them mindfully. Serve before you steal. Ask, what do you need from me, to succeed it, right? Okay, succeed. Remove obstacles, not just assign tasks, right? Create, celebrate efforts, not just outcomes, right? You have to celebrate your efforts, your process as well, on the basis of the requirement. If you are actually trying to celebrate the efforts and the process on the basis of the requirement, you will simultaneously enjoy the outcomes and the consequences as well, right? So what will be the conclusions, right? It's a different thing, but if you're actually enjoying the process, that how you're actually trying to do it, right? So that celebration will gonna be impact. Empower, don't micromanage, delegate decision making and authority with clear boundaries, right? Encourage experimentation, even here if it leads to mistakes, right? So trust your team's instincts, right, and let them on their work. Build trust through transparency, right? So here, be honest about challenges and uncertainties, right? So admit mistakes and model vulnerability, right? Follow through on promises. Consistency builds credibility. Communicate to connect, right? Listen more than you speak. Ask open-ended questions and spark reflections. Use feedback as growth tools, not a performance weapon. Next point is what? Invest in growth. Offer, mentorship, not just management. Create learning opportunities tailored, right, to each team member, right? Give feedback that's specific, actionable, and encouraging. Model lifelong learning here. Share what's you're reading, learning, and struggling with, right? So invite feedbacks on your leadership style. Stay curious and humble. Growth is contagious, right? Redefine leadership. Focus on creating leaders on followers, right? Encourage initiative and celebrate leadership, at every level. Make leadership a shared, responsibility, not a title, right? So how does Cuervo's model compared to transformational leadership, right? So here, Jorge Cuervo's leadership model and transformational leadership share a powerful common thread. They both aim to inspire growth and meaningful change, but they diverse in tone, emphasize and execution. Here is a nuanced comparison to help you see how they align, and where they differ. So here, Cuervo versus transformational leadership, a side by side view, right? Here, core focus, emotion, connection, empathy, and here servant leadership, right? The transformational leadership is what? Visionary change, motivation and personal development. Leadership identity is here earned through value and service, right? Built through charismatic and inspirational influence, right? So your team engagement here, empowerment, psychological safety and collaboration, challenging followers to exceed expectation, communication style here, listening, asking question, emotional resonance, right? Articulation, compelling vision and purpose. Growth philosophy here, the growth philosophy here, lifelong learning, humility and shared leadership. Intellectual stimulation and individuality, mentorship, right? So here, next point is what? Key differences. Cuervo's model is deeply rooted in servant leadership and emotional intelligence. It's about creating leaders, to every level, fostering trust, and leading with humility. Transformational, leadership is more vision driven, often relying on the, lead's charisma and ability to inspire followers towards a bold future, right? So where they actually overlap, both models reject authoritarianism, right, and here promote growth, innovation, and purpose, right? So here both value authenticity, trust, and developing authors, right? But here Cuervo emphasizes, emotional safety and shared leadership more explicitly, right? So this is all about. So yeah.